Hello there, Lar Ryan from Complete Test Success here. I'm after making a bit of a mix-up with the times. The clocks changed here over the weekend, so I should have scheduled it at a different time. I ended up scheduling it according to the new time instead of the old time, and just got mixed up. So the lesson it was scheduled to start in 1 hour, but I have other lessons in 1 hour. So I thought I'd just jump online while I'm free. If anyone's here, well and good. And if not, apologies to those of you who turned up at the scheduled time. I just have no choice. I'm not going to tell my students who I have a lesson with that I'm not going to come. They've paid for that. So obviously I'm going to provide the service I paid there. So in short, sorry for the incorrect scheduling. I'll make sure to have that fixed for next week's lesson. Hi, Ratul. How are you? Hi, IELTS student. Hi, Mohammed. Oh, great. We have a bunch of people here. Hi, Vipin. Okay, so basically all we're doing today is Q&A. So you ask questions and I answer them. Simple as that. So that's all we've got going on. I have nothing planned. I have no presentations. We're not going through any speaking or writing. We'll do that in the coming weeks. Doing good, Mohammed. Thank you. I am here. I know. Oh, I know. That's I just moved home and I'm more partial to the food here than I was in Vietnam. IELTS on 10th of November. Okay. So you still have enough time to do a few bits and pieces. Stuck at 5.5. What to do for 7 days? What areas, which parts of the test do you need to improve? Which scores do you need to improve, Ratul? So, obviously what you would do in the lead up to your test would depend very much on what sections you've been having problems with. Reading and writing. Okay, so you're not going to improve your actual English level within a week. You're not going to improve your vocab from a 7, from a 5 to a 6, or 6 to a 7. That's not possible. So what you're looking to do is to avoid making simple mistakes that will bring down your score. So anything that you're doing wrong with task achievement in writing, anything you're doing wrong with task achievement, if your ideas aren't relevant, if you're not planning your essay carefully enough. So it kind of depends on where you're making mistakes. But I would focus on trying to improve your task achievement score as much as possible. Make sure that you are familiar with all the structures for the various question types. And then in reading, let me just share a lesson I have with you for reading. Maybe you've seen this already, but I'll just share it with you just to make sure that you're aware of kind of like the approach that I'd like you to take for reading. So Ratul, if you see this link here, reading strategy, just click on that link. You'll see advice on reading. So for writing, it's harder to say what you should do. Definitely get ready for writing a task 1 and a task 2 essay within 1 hour. A lot of students will have never practiced writing a task 1 and a task 2 back to back in 1 hour. So they'll practice task 1 many times in 20 minutes, task 2 many times in 40 minutes, but never task 1 and task 2 together. So make sure you've a bit of practice with that. When you're writing, put more emphasis on clarity. Don't try to improve your range of vocab or range of grammar. Focus more on clear communication. Because if you're using vocab you're not comfortable with, you can easily make a mistake that causes confusion, and that brings your score down. For a band 6 as well, you don't need a very wide range of vocabulary. So as long as you're communicating clearly, you should be okay. And then focus more on, are your ideas relevant? Are your ideas specific? Are you developing those ideas appropriately? Those would be the main things to consider. Hi, Kawaljit. Hi, sir. I'm struggling with time management for reading and writing. Well, it depends really on where you're going, where you're losing time. So with reading, like, are you spending too long looking for the answers to particular questions? Like, very common issues would be like when the student cannot find if the answer is false or not given in a true, false, not given question. So they'll stay looking for a very long time. And especially if the answer is not given, that means the information isn't there. So I've seen students spend a lot of time trying to find information that isn't there. And of course, that's a waste of time, especially with true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given. If you can't find the answer, that probably means you should choose not given. Even if you're wrong, I mean, the fact that you can't find the information, that's what not given means. So if you can't find it, it's not given in your mind. So rather than losing a lot of time searching and searching and searching, just put down not given and move on. And the same thing I see with matching headings questions is where students aren't sure. There are two possible answers and they're not sure which answer to choose, and they spend a long time deciding. But what the issue is normally that the student doesn't have the vocabulary to understand the difference. So if you're in that situation, you have to guess. So just go ahead and guess quickly. Don't wait a long time. For writing then, I mean, it just depends. I've seen some students where they're actually very slow at writing, or they're very, very slow at typing, and that's where they're losing time. Other times, students aim for perfection in each sentence. So they spend so much time looking at the grammar and the collocations on every sentence they write that they don't have enough time to finish the essay. So if that's what's happening to you, at least just get the essay finished first, so you have a finished essay, and then go back and try to fix as many of those mistakes as you can. And it could be other several possible things that's slowing you down, but go back and when you finish writing an essay or you finish doing a practice reading test, go back and analyze what you did and try to figure out where you lose time, where you lost time, and what you could do differently. I have a problem in reading, like summary. So you can look at that same link that I just sent there. Or if you want to give me more information about what exactly is going wrong when you answer those question types, I might have more detailed information for you. Well, again, you see, the thing is, hello, God's gift, good name. The thing is, like, what makes it daunting for you? Is it that you don't have the vocabulary to say what you want to say? Does that make it daunting? Is it that you find it very difficult to think of ideas? Is that making it daunting? So, at the moment you're describing what you're feeling, but we don't know how to fix it. If you can determine, why are you feeling that way? What's making you feel that way? Is it the grammar? Is it you're uncomfortable with the grammar? You're worried about grammar mistakes? Is it that you don't have the vocabulary to express yourself? Is it that you don't understand how to write an IELTS essay? You don't know what an essay should look like? It would be different reasons for different people, and it's always the same. You want to figure out what exactly makes it daunting for you, and then see if you can fix that problem. Is it possible to get the reading and listening which is given in Cambridge books? I mean, you can buy the Cambridge books, but I know that's not the question you're asking. I don't understand your question. I mean, I know you know that you can buy the Cambridge books, so that's obviously not the question you're asking. I'm not sure what your question is, to be honest. If you can rephrase it, I'll help. How can I improve my spike? I'm not sure what a spike is, Mohammed. Can it be pinned? Guys, I'm sorry. You've lost me. You've lost me. I have no idea what you're talking about at the moment. Ratul. Okay, good man. You're making spelling mistakes. Okay, so for spelling, you're going to have to make a list, and you'll be able to fix some spelling mistakes within 7 days. But what you always want to do is keep a list of the mistakes you make so that you can go back and learn them. So typically, if you're using Microsoft Word or any word processor, they will have a spell checker. So write your essays, see which spellings they correct, write down those, keep a list, and learn them. So you should be making a list of words you spell incorrectly, and you should be learning the correct spelling. Do you have to cover all the lists of questions in speaking part 2? No, you just need to speak about the topic at the top. As long as you're discussing the topic, that's fine. The prompts, they're just ideas about what you can discuss, but it's not a strict requirement. As long as you're talking about the topic, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so that's Ratul talking about spelling. Okay. Sir, I'm starting IELTS preparation classes online. Very good. Good man, Amir. Could you please give me your advice on how to practice listening? So much like what we were talking about with reading, you need to figure out what you're doing wrong. So first of all, make sure you're using Cambridge IELTS practice tests. I had a student, now this wasn't listening, this was reading, but she was using practice tests that she found on some phone app. She got a 7 in speaking, a 7 in writing, and ended up with a 5.5 in reading. I can't remember her listening score. But the problem was that she had been using fake practice tests. So she ended up getting a low score, even though she was clearly capable of better. She had never seen a real IELTS test. So make sure you're using the Cambridge IELTS books, that you're using, the tests published by Cambridge. After that, do one test and check every single incorrect answer that you've got. So, like if you got 15 answers wrong, you need to go through each one very carefully and just figure out what mistakes did you make? How did you arrive at the wrong answer? Was it your listening skills? Was it you were reading when you should have been listening? Was it, it said 2 words and or a number and you put down 3 words, so you didn't read the instructions properly? Is it a spelling issue? Is it a vocab issue? There are a certain number of problems you could potentially have, but as soon as you figure out what those problems are, you'll know what the solution is. So that's basically what you need to do. Do a practice test and go through very, very carefully every incorrect answer. So Wakas, we were talking about this earlier on. So God's gift was saying that writing was daunting. So you're in a similar situation. You're describing how you feel, but you're not really identifying what's causing that issue. So why are you feeling worried? Is there something you cannot do? Is there something you're afraid you cannot do? Is there something that you don't understand how to do? If you're new to the IELTS test, you just might have no idea what's required to get a good IELTS score. So, you might just need to address that. Or it might be, you're not very comfortable with complex grammar structures. So you need to address that. So it's really about trying to identify the source of that fear that you're describing and then fixing whatever issue is causing it. Time management. Time management tends to be something that I would leave until the very, very end. So, like with my students, any students, when they join my course, I'm telling them, take as much time as you need to do your essays, take as much time as you need to do your reading and listening tests. You don't want to put yourself under time pressure at the beginning. You want to try and focus on the quality. So, like, how can you improve your quality? If you need a band 7.5 in writing, make sure you understand how to do that. Make sure you fix whatever mistakes you need to fix so that you can do that. And then once you're capable of writing an essay that will score a band 7.5, then you worry about doing it in 40 minutes. So, there will be bigger obstacles in the way. So always work towards, improving whatever skills you need to improve first, and time management will be a lot easier then. Hi, Parmpreet. Pan. Hello, sir. I'm Nurilam from Bangladesh. Hi there. Welcome. Is it strange or disrespect to call someone in your country? To phone? To call someone on a phone? No, I don't think anybody calls each other anymore. You might businesses. People would call a business, or business would call customers. But for people to call each other, I don't think I ever get phone calls anymore. Normally somebody would send a message. I think it's more like if you send someone a message, if they're busy, they can do whatever they're doing and they can reply to you when they have time. But if you phone someone, you're controlling their time in a way that you're not when you send a message. I'm not sure if that's what you're even asking about, and it's definitely got nothing to do with the IELTS test. But no, I don't think people call each other too much these days. Definitely not me and my friends or my family anyway. In India, 90% of students achieve a 6.5 in writing module. What is the reason, sir? Even other modules, 8 and 8.5. It is because that is the standard of English in India. It's because most students don't have English that's good enough to score a higher band. And that's not just India, that's in pretty much every country. I think what happens then is, like, a lot of students will start saying it's because the IELTS wants us to fail. It's because the examiners are more strict in our country, but that's not true. I mean, the score is the average of people's language ability. And I think what people don't really appreciate is just how good a band 7 really is. So you might think that your English is excellent, and that might be true. But that excellent level is a 6.5, not a 7. So you need a new word for whatever a 7 is. A 7 is above excellent, So I think it just comes from people not really understanding how good a band 7 is. Like, a band 7 isn't just very, very good. It is, it's an incredibly high score to get. And it, like, let's say you've probably had that situation where you're sitting down, you're speaking to someone in English and you can communicate no problem. But then if you listen to two English speakers having a conversation, you cannot follow what they're saying. So when you're speaking one-on-one with a person, you have no problem in English. But if you are trying to get involved in a group conversation in English, it gets much, much tougher. So, that would be, I mean, that's not the exact requirement of a band 7, but a band 7 student would be able to have a group discussion in English, whereas a band 6.5 would be more competent with one-on-one discussions, that type of thing. So it's just another level. It's another level up. Like, a band 7 is very good. Very, very good. Deep Gill. Hello, sir. I achieve overall 7.5 with the help of your valuable videos. Excellent. Fantastic. Thanks for telling me, Deep. Is it possible to get the same reading and listening test in the exam which are given in Cambridge books? No. So they'll use the test first, and then they'll publish them later. So like the reading and listening tests that you find in the Cambridge books are tests that they have already used in as part of the IELTS test. So there were candidates who did those tests, but after they finished them, then they published them. They would never publish one that they're still using. So no, absolutely not. I understand the question. Is it strange or disrespectful to call someone sir? Okay. I totally didn't understand that the first time. I thought you were talking about calling someone, not calling someone sir. It's not disrespectful. Is it strange? Maybe a little bit. I don't think anybody would notice. It's normally what children call teachers. Children usually call their teachers sir. But you wouldn't hear it too often outside of that. I don't know the standard structure for IELTS essay. Can you help? I can. No problem. Give me a second here now, and I'll send you a link. There you go. God's gift. So I'll just share a link with you here. Task 2, essay structures. Click on that link there. Hi, Dimitri. I make too many grammar mistakes, mostly in articles, but only a few in spoken language. I am more error prone when I have time to think about grammar rules. Could you suggest a solution? Well, you're going to have to understand the rules more deeply. So generally what you'll get is there will be, there are about 8 different rules that govern articles. I think 8 or 9 grammar rules for articles. So sit down, go through them, figure out which ones you understand and use correctly and which ones you use incorrectly. Once you understand that, what you want to do is, study those rules and then start active reading. So you're going to go into a newspaper and look at every article and try to identify which rule is governing the use of this article, which rule is governing which one, this one, which one, this one, which one, this one. So go through a newspaper and not just like once, but you might do this for a week. But by looking at the articles being used in a real text that already they're correct, and then you can try to get a better understanding of the rules because you'll be matching the rule with the article. Once you can do that, you will better understand how the rules work, and then you start to focus on your writing again. So that's what I'd recommend for you there, Dimitri. Sir, I'm always scoring my speaking aspect 6.5 twice. I want to upgrade my score. Okay, so what's going on here is you're either making, this is potentially what's going on. You're getting in your fluency, coherence, vocab, grammar, pronunciation. So you're getting 4 scores, right? Now, the thing is, you're either getting 2 6s and 2 7s, and that's your 6.5, or you're getting 3 7s and 1 6. So that's what you need to figure out, is like, where are the 6s? So it could be, you've got a 6 for fluency and a 6 for vocab, and that means you need to improve your fluency in vocab. It could be you got a 7 in all areas, but a 6 in pronunciation. That means you need to improve your pronunciation. So it just depends on what areas you're getting a band 6, and then you improve those so that you're capable of getting a 7. Like when you look at your IELTS score, 6.5, you don't know where you're going wrong. So that's what you'll need to do, is figure out which part of the test or which band score you need to improve. Sir, is there any chance we could get the exact same listening or reading questions from Cambridge books? No, no way. Definitely not. So it depends what you're trying to practice. You can sit down and do practice tests, but that wouldn't necessarily improve your score. It's important to do practice tests because you want to get familiar with what you need to do in the test. You want to get comfortable with the process and the concept of thinking of ideas on the fly and developing your ideas and giving well structured answers. But at the same time, if you're not getting your score because your grammar isn't good enough, you don't need to practice speaking. You need to you need to improve that area. So again, it depends on your unique situation and what you're trying to improve. If you want to give me more information, I'll give you more advice. But that's based on what you said. I would say that's the way to go about it. Hi, Guppy. Hello, sir. I came to know British government did difficult reading. I'm not sure what that's about. Sources for what? Javiria? What sources are you looking for? Hi, Huang. Sir, if a task 2 question is why is this the case, is it better to give one or two reasons? I would just give one. If it doesn't ask for more than one, I would only give one in all scenarios like that. Oh, but actually, I take that back. It depends if it's a one or two part question. So if it's it gives you a situation, it says why is this the case, I would give 2. But if it said why is this the case and what are some possible solutions, then I would give 1 for why is this the case. So it depends how many parts are in the question. If that's the only question, I would give 2. If it's one of 2 questions, I would give 1 main idea. Sir, I gave IELTS exam and my result is listening 6.5, speaking 6, reading 6, writing 5.5. I should go for an EOR or not? Based on that information, there isn't really anything that would indicate you should go for an EOR. I have a lesson on that as well. Let me put it up for you here. But basically what you want to have some reason for believing that your score would improve. So I'll just show you. I just shared another link with you here. Here, EOR advice. So, a lot of students would go for an EOR because they're disappointed with their scores. That's not a reason to go for an EOR. Like, your disappointment does not mean you'll get a higher score. Or, students will go for an EOR because they think that they did well. But what does well mean? Your own analysis isn't enough. So basically it would be if you had some reason to believe that your scores would be higher, you got a higher score in a previous test, or you had an IELTS examiner helping you and you were consistently getting higher scores. If you can't think of anything you did wrong, and as far as you can tell you did everything the way you normally would to get a high score, then an EOR is a good idea. But take a look at that link that I shared. You'll get a bit more insight there. How to solve multiple choice questions in listening. What you want to do with that is make sure that you read the questions and not the prompts. The reason that those questions are so difficult for students is that they're so long. You got like one question is like that much text, a big chunk of text. And you generally won't have enough time to read everything before the audio starts. So that's the problem. The audio starts, you didn't read everything and you're not sure what you're looking for. So instead of reading, like, let's say there's the question and then prompt 1, 2, 3, 4, or prompt A, B, C, D. Read the question, don't read the options. Then go to the next one, read the question, don't read the options. So just read the questions, don't read the options. That will at least mean that you know what information you're looking for. If possible, if you have enough time, go back and read the options as well. You probably won't have enough time, definitely not to read all of them, but at least by reading the questions, you know what information you're looking for. And then as the audio is playing, you just have to do your best and try to catch up. Akaravit, what would you recommend to do first? I was writing task 1 or task 2. I generally start with task 2. For no strict reason. You have to do both of them. Task 1 for academic is easier to improve. Task 1 for general training, where students really get caught out, is in task 1 for general training. It's very easy to get a low task achievement score if you don't know whether the language is formal or informal. So you might know a lot of language and it communicates your ideas very clearly, but it's informal and you don't know it's informal, so you use it in a formal letter. So for that reason, I think task 1 in general training is more difficult to improve than task 1 in academic. So maybe if you're doing general training, it would be good to know if you have that problem. So starting with task 1, but I don't think it really matters. Inevitably, you have to do both. So maybe start with whichever one you feel least confident with, I would say. Hi, Sohi. Sir, writing task 2 topic is preserving all buildings rather than others. Advantages outweigh disadvantages. So please tell me if I rate the importance of other buildings rather than old. So it's going to be something like this. Some people feel that we should preserve old buildings rather than new buildings. No, maybe like it's more important to preserve old buildings than new ones. But then that's an opinion. So it's not advantages outweigh disadvantages. I'm not sure. I feel like the question isn't reliable. I think that's when I'm looking at it. I'm trying to guess what it means. You've only given me a small amount of information, but it either looks like an opinion, and you're not going to give advantages or disadvantages of an opinion, or it's a fact, and I just don't see. I don't see what to. I don't understand. There's the short answer. I don't understand. Oh, and sorry, if you can write the full question, I'll help you. Apan, sir, I'm struggling in reading. How to overcome this module. So I shared a link with you earlier on. I don't know if it's above or below your comment. It must be above. So if you just scroll through the comments, you'll see a comment that I left earlier. It said, here we go, complete test success, reading strategy. So that's the lad you're looking for there. Poor Jan. I'm not sure what that means. Hi, Ahmad. What type of material I should follow in reading? My exam is on 10th of November. So it'd be just like we were saying earlier. Make sure you're using Cambridge IELTS tests, the official tests to practice with, and make sure you're analysing all your mistakes. God's gift, you're very welcome. Hi, JPS. Good to see you here. Okay, Ahmad. Don't you agree with me that assessment of the writing and speaking modules will always be subjective, no matter what rubric the assessor use? No, I don't. I think there's room for error. I think that perhaps a mistake could be made. But generally, the way the IELTS test works, the overall score will still work out the same if the examiner makes a small error. But no, it's not subjective. The only reason, like when the IELTS examiners get checked by the IELTS examiner trainer, they're told you're wrong because of this, or well, obviously you're right if you're right because you understand it. But if an examiner ever makes a mistake, they're told why they're wrong and why the score that they give doesn't match the student's writing or the student speaking. So it's not subjective. I think it might be challenging to understand the exact differences between each band score, but there are very specific things that are being looked for. So I wouldn't agree. I've heard a lot of people say it's subjective. I don't agree with that. I think if you don't understand it clearly, it might seem subjective, but there is an exact score for every for every candidate. So no, it's not subjective. And you see as well, like, students get the same scores over and over again. So I mean, that would show that it's not subjective. It's not subjective as well. So your writing task 2 is 6.5. Well, who's doing the mock tests with you would be my question, Apan. Like, are they not explaining to you why you got a 6.5 and why you got a 5.5? Or maybe they are explaining to you, but you don't understand their feedback. I would definitely go to whoever has given you the mock tests. They should be able to explain to you what you've been doing wrong. Like with any of my students, like, I'll go through every single sentence and explain, like, this is wrong because of this, this is wrong because of this. I'll go through everything. So, like, there would never be any doubt with my students as to why they're getting a 5.5 or why they're getting a 6 or a 6.5. They'll know what the mistakes are. So from what you're saying, it sounds like you need to go back to whoever corrected your writing for you and get them to follow up with more information. Speaking module, how I achieve 7.5. My level is 5.5 and 6. How to improve? Well, you're going to have to improve everything. You're going to have to improve your fluency and your vocab and your grammar and your pronunciation. You have to improve everything, because there's no, like we were talking earlier on, somebody's looking to get from a 6.5 to a 7. They might need to improve one area, but in your situation, it's definitely, you have to improve everything. I would say always vocabulary is the one that takes the longest time, the most time to improve. So start with that, but also work on everything else at the same time. Not everything else at the same time. Sorry. Don't work on everything at the same time. That's too challenging. Work on vocabulary, start now, and then work on something else at the same time. Eventually, you need to work on everything, but not everything at the same time. How can I get only 6.5 in writing? So again, it depends on what mistakes you're making. Generally, the fastest way to get a 6.5 in writing is get a 7 in task achievement, 7 in coherence and cohesion, 6 in grammar, 6 in vocab. Because with task achievement and coherence and cohesion, those are the scores that are mainly based on how to do the IELTS test. There's a little bit more, but it's mainly based on how to do the IELTS test. So you don't need to improve your language ability all that much to get a 6.5. You just need to know how to give the examiner what they require for those 2 scores. Hi, Tang. So for you, it depends. You're stuck at 6. It depends on what score you need, first of all. But like we were saying earlier, it also depends on what your weaknesses are. Focusing on your weaknesses it's easier than focusing on your strengths. Because if you have, like, one score is a band 5, you need to improve from a 5 to a band 6. That's easier than improving any score from a 6 to a 7. The jumps get bigger. Every time you go up, the jumps get bigger. So can I write survey as an example in task 2? Yeah, some examiners don't like it, but according to the IELTS requirements, it's okay. There's no problem with it. But I think it just kind of gets on some examiners' nerves. There's no problem with it, though. Does accent matter? Accent matters if it is making your speaking difficult to understand. So it's not that you have to have a British accent to get a good score. You can have your own accent. But if there's interference from your first language, that you're saying some sounds incorrectly or you're not stressing the sentences correctly, well, the interference from your accent, that can have a negative effect. But you can still have your accent and get a good score. as long as you're clear. So our news is popping up about one module retake. Is that real or fake? I haven't heard anything about it. Hi, sir. I have this. Enjoy. Can you share the link? Share the link. We'll have a look. Hi, sir. I've decided to reappear in your exam. Okay, good. Sir, you set the timer of 1 hour later than this. I missed class. Yeah, I know. I set the time later. I got mixed up. The clocks changed in Ireland. We went back 1 hour. We went back 1 hour on Saturday night. So when I was scheduling my live streams, I forgot about the clocks changing. So I messed up. So I'm going to have to go back and fix all the other ones later. Okay, some people think that all buildings are worth preserving rather than others. What are buildings and advantage? What are the buildings and advantages of outweigh the disadvantage? My exam topic. You're not. I know that's what you remember, but the wording isn't correct, and I can't understand exactly what the question is. So there's the grammar is wrong, or there's some words have changed or something. It doesn't really make sense at the moment. How can I solve question type which paragraphs contain information ones? Sonu, I'm sorry, I don't understand that question either. I'm sorry. Sir, do you agree that IELTS IDP has become a scam? No, they're only making money. They are making money, that's true, but I wouldn't say they're only making money. How most Indian students get 5.5 in one module, but after reevaluation, they're getting 6.5. Because the only people who tell you about their reevaluation are the ones who got their scores to improve. Nobody's going online going, hey, look, everybody, I did an EOR and my scores didn't change. They're the exact same. And I just wasted my money asking them for a remark. Like, nobody's announcing that. Those people are quiet. So all you're hearing from is the people who were successful. But also, it's not really a scam, because if they were trying to scam people, they wouldn't be admitting their mistakes. I think the fact that they're so transparent and so willing to admit when they got a score wrong, that they will increase it. I mean, that's not the approach of a scammer. No, I don't agree. So now, if I purchase your 299 course, in what you will provide me only 5 essay evaluation or how to work on weakness. Yeah, everything. And that 299 is for speaking as well. But send me an email, I'll show you exactly. Just for anyone else interested as well, let me share a link to my courses. 1 second now. So if you're looking for one-on-one support from me, there you go. So you see this link, one-on-one corrections and IELTS courses. So there's the links there. Okay. Akhil, the examiner is not able to evaluate a difference between a band 5.5 and 6.5. It is most probably the examiner evaluate all students with a wrong evaluation way and give all students a band 5.5. If an examiner marked a 5.5 and they should have got a 6 point, it should have been a 6.5. That examiner is going to lose their job. Like, the IELTS takes the reliability of their test very serious. I mean, the only thing that makes IELTS stand out, the only reason that it's accepted in so many countries, is because it's reliable. You know, if it wasn't reliable, no countries would be using it. You wouldn't have, like, the British Health Service using it to make sure that their doctors can do their work properly. So yeah, I mean, do mistakes happen? Definitely. But would an examiner who is that incapable of doing their job continue examining? They wouldn't. They'd lose their jobs. That's exactly what would happen. Hi, Karen. I'm new one and starting preparation. So I have another link for you here. Not necessarily for listening. You'll find listening on my website as well, but I have a link here. So I just shared a link called IELTS Guide for Beginners. If you're just starting, that's, that'll be helpful. So how can I manage reading module? So we discussed that earlier on. So if you want to look at the recording will be uploaded in about 15 minutes, the recording of this live stream. Or if you want to scroll up through the comments, you'll find I shared a reading strategy already. So now, how can I solve which paragraph contains information question type in reading module? Solve paragraph contain information. My strategy. So what you're doing at the moment is you're looking at the question and then you're going to try to find the answer in the full text. But my strategy is that you would just look at the first paragraph of the text and then go and try to answer all the questions. So instead of going by question, you go paragraph by paragraph. So the way you find it is you read the paragraph first, you'll know what the paragraph is about, and then you go and you do the match after that. So instead of going question by question, go paragraph by paragraph in your reading test. Hi, Dina. Sir, how can we write a good sentence structure in writing task? Well, it's not necessarily there's a good sentence structure for writing task. There's just, do you have the grammatical ability to write a good sentence? It's not about a specific thing that you need to do for the IELTS test. It's just normal English grammar. So, if you have a problem with grammatical structures, you need to go and you need to work on that. Hi, Alva. I'm not sure if it's okay to skim when it comes to reading some advice. So again, you're talking about looking at the first question and trying to find the answer. But what I'm saying is read the first paragraph and then look at all the questions and answer whichever question you can with the information from the first paragraph. That way you don't need to skim, you don't need to scan, you don't need to find keywords, you don't need to look at the text, 13 times. So you'll find it's much easier to go paragraph by paragraph. Shahid, sir, how can we write? Oh, so we looked at that already. Akhil, sir, tell me one exact reason why examiner is not able to find a difference between a 5.5 and a 6.5. I only believe in your teaching. Why would an examiner there's a massive difference between a 5.5 and a 6.5. Massive difference. Like 5.5 would be difficult to understand at times. 6.5 would be very good, very easy to understand at all times. Good range of grammar and vocab. They're the great fluency, very clear. 5.5, they're very, very different. How would it be? Maybe like an IELTS examiner's first day, maybe the very, very first time. I don't have a good reason. Honestly, I don't have a good reason how somebody could be so wrong. Did the examiner just fall asleep in the middle of the test? I don't understand how that would happen. That's so far out. There wouldn't be a good reason for that happening. You'd need to get all 4 individual band scores wrong. I can't. I know it's a legitimate question, but I wouldn't have any solid guess as to how that would happen. The advantages of old buildings outweigh the disadvantages. So it doesn't make sense. Sorry, I'm not clear. I'm not clear on the question. Harsh difference between 5.5 and 6 in speaking. It could be. So we were talking earlier on about the difference between a 6.5 and a 7. Same thing. So you're definitely getting 2 band 6s. So fluency, vocab, grammar, pronunciation. You're definitely getting 2 6s. and it might be 2 5s or it might be 1 5. We don't know. You'd have to get your speaking assessed outside the IELTS test. Hey, Domenico, good to see you here. Sir, can we overcome problem of sentence stress by speaking slowly? No, sentence stress isn't going to change. So if you speak quick, bad example. If you speak quickly, the sentence stress will stay the same. Or if you speak slowly, sentence stress will stay the same. So the sentence stress doesn't change depending on the speed. So while speaking, can we ask the examiner to repeat the question? Yes, you can. You can also ask the examiner to explain a phrase. So, if the examiner said, like, what's your favorite color? You could say, what does favorite color mean? You can ask what the phrase means. Parminder, sir, how to improve lexical resource in writing in order to get a high band? Well, what you want to do is improve your vocab, just like you've done. Like anytime you studied vocabulary, anytime you sat down and you learn new words and you learn how to use them, it's the same thing. There's nothing different because it's the IELTS test. You're still just studying vocab. Harsh. Okay, Harsh, thanks for sharing. Duolingo, I don't know anything about Duolingo. Is it reliable? Well, I mean, what do you need the test for? If the person, I wouldn't worry so much about is the test reliable, in that, why do you need it? Like, is it an employer has asked you to do the Duolingo test? You don't really have a choice, like if somebody's asked you to do it and you need it for a job or some kind of an application. But the truth is, I don't know much about the Duolingo test. I know very little about it. Akhil, even a lot of students have to change a change of band 1.5 in their speaking as well as writing in India. That, I don't know how often that's happening. I don't know how reliable that is. Does it happen on very rare occasions? I would imagine on very, very, very rare occasions it might happen. But to say a lot of students, I don't know where you're getting that information, but I can't imagine that being right. Sir, can we use our hands during speaking when teacher asks questions or not? Make any posture? Yeah, if you can, if you want. If you normally do, then do. If you naturally use your hands and you're somebody who uses their hands a lot when speaking, then by all means just continue the way you normally do. That's absolutely fine. Harsh, 866 5.5, overall 6.5. Should I apply for EOR and why, if not? Well, I shared a link already about EOR advice, so take a look at that link. It's in the comments, so just scroll up or down. I'm not sure. Earlier, look at the earlier comments. You'll see a comment from me called EOR advice. And you'll see, from that lesson, you'll know whether you should or shouldn't. So how to achieve 7.5 in writing, get an 8 in task achievement, get an 8 in coherence and cohesion, get a 7 in vocab and a 7 in grammar. Sir, I'm struggling with sentence stress for a long time. Tell me one simple and easiest way to overcome that. You want to mimic, like listen to an English speaker, just listen to one sentence and try to practice that rhythm and the words that they're stressing. So just do it sentence by sentence. So you might find one sentence on YouTube and just repeat it like 10, 20, 30 times, just getting a little bit better every time. Are thinking sounds the cause of a low band score? Or are they considered natural? They're natural, but it depends where they happen as well. If it's after every second word, like some students when they're speaking, they are speaking, that's obviously going to bring down your score. But if you ask me a question and I go, because I'm thinking of the answer, that's perfectly fine. That's natural. That's what we would expect. And they're considered discourse markers, which is part of your fluency and coherence score. Hey, Gaurav, I'm good. Thank you. Sir, for listening module, what should I do? I mean, I miss out to attempt most of the blanks in the last section. How do I practice my strategies? So again, go back through every incorrect answer and figure out what are you doing wrong? Where are you going wrong? Sir, 2.5 years ago, I got 5.5 in my speaking at my first attempt at the IELTS exam. I must tell you in all my honesty that I wasn't ready for the test. The thing I need to keep under control is my nervousness. Yeah, nerves play a big part. I had a Chinese student there recently, and when we're doing practice tests, she's like band 7, band 7, band 7, band 7. She goes through the IELTS speaking test, and she just gets so nervous that, you know, her fluency keeps on suffering, and she keeps on getting a band 6.5. So that's a real factor in the test. You know, are you getting nervous? Is that affecting your score? I think like coming on here is great practice, like to come on here and practice with me in front of other students, because what you're doing then is you're creating a scenario where you're going to be more nervous than in the real test. So, you know, it kind of helps you to deal with that a bit. There are different breathing techniques to help you calm down. But the thing is, like, some people are just going to be naturally more calm and some people are going to be naturally more stressed. You know, like if you're an introvert, it's just tougher. It's tougher to do the test. That's a real part of it. There are vocab-related hesitations and hesitations to gather thoughts. This shouldn't count for fluency. It is, they're both parts of fluency, but they're different scores. So a band 7 would pause for vocab and a band 8 would not pause for vocab. So that's counted. The examiner is paying attention to, are you pausing for vocab or are you pausing for ideas? That's something that the examiner is checking for. Okay, apologies again for the incorrect time of the lesson. I'll have to go back and change that. I have more live lessons scheduled for the coming weeks, but I'll need to go and I'll need to fix the timing on those. Also, let me share this link with you here, my free live feedback lessons on Zoom. So those are my group classes on Zoom. I have those every week and we go through every part of the IELTS test in those as well. So click on that link there in the comments, or you can find the same link in the video description. Click on that, sign up, and I'll see you in those lessons too. So that's it for today. That's a full hour. I need to go. I have more lessons to teach. So take care of yourselves, everyone. Talk to you again next week, or if you're joining me for these lessons, talk to you tomorrow. If you want one-on-one support, send me an email and we can talk about that. Okay? Take care of yourselves, everybody. Bye-bye for now.